I'm gonna get back to that story, Sonny. Just, just you listen to Boomer, great one. He's gonna tell you about how it was back in the olden days, back before fire, back when we walked uphill for everything. In fact, we didn't even have a concept of downhill because there was no downhill. Everything was uphill. We thought that was normal. We didn't even have a word for it because there was no alternative. It was uphill all the time. You just need to reach down and grab yourselves by your bootstraps and pull yourselves up, Sonny. Because when I was your age, I bought a house for $25,000. And I made that money on my paper route and bussing tables at the local cafe. And if I could do it, you can do it too. You just need to reach down and pull yourself up and just buckle up there, buckaroo. God, I hate boomers.
Come with me on an economic journey, boys and girls. Let's just think about something very simply. It's kind of like the Carlson School of Management or colleges in general. I know we make fun of the Carlson School of Management, but there's actually an underlying serious reason we do that, and that is the Carlson School of Management, among pretty much all business schools and in a larger sense, nearly all universities and colleges are offering college degrees that have no value. And that'd be fine if the worst consequence was you got a little bit of toe fungus, but it actually, when you sit and think down about it, the consequences of worthless degrees, it has destroyed, financially crippled 2.5 or 3 generations of young people, wasting 4 years of their time. Lord knows how much. I'd say $100,000 when you factor in opportunity cost, time lost that you could have been working, and the actual explicit costs of going to school, housing, and all that other stuff. It's very serious. It's a tremendous, probably the single most damage, aside from Social Security, paying for old people's Social Security, it's probably tied in terms of how much financial damage and it has wreaked, how much poverty it has condemned young people to. And that's why I'm kind of adamant about it. So I wrote a book about it so long ago. But another one that we're going to have to address, because it's just, guys, Schopenhauer's right. Humans are assholes, especially Americans. There is no community anymore in this country. It is every man for themselves, and everybody will do everything they can up to breaking the law, and oftentimes breaking the law, to get money out of you and fuck you over. And the group I want to focus in on now is contractors. And as many of you know, I built a house, not myself. I paid a bunch of cousin fucking, sister fucking South Dakotan and Wyomingans to fuck their cattle, fuck their daughters, fuck their cousins, and then maybe get around to putting up a shingle or two. Typical story where they didn't do it right. I had to do some fixing up and things. And in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't the worst. I've heard horror stories like the foundations were fucked up. Just some horrible nightmares. Mine, it's like, okay, I got to redo this or redo that. And in the grand scheme of things, I say it probably cost me. Some people's cost their life savings where you got to drag people to court and shit like that. I'd say it was like 6 months of my labor gone. Which is not insignificant, don't get me wrong. And some of you could say, well, for example, contractor gave me a quote, $14,000 for retaining walls, and it would be a year out. And I was like, well, shoot, I'll do it myself then. There were actual mistakes, and I had to do a lot of caulking and a lot of resupporting and things like that. But that's 6 months of my time gone. Again, not the worst. But because housing, and you'll see where I'm going with this, housing is your single largest lifetime expense, right? Rent or mortgage, not to mention repairs and property taxes and insurance. And if we are not going to build houses that meet code, aren't going to fall apart, don't require years of repairs that should have never been, we directly affect the number one thing on people's budget, that also then directly affects their standards of living, right? Right now, especially you young people, and this is where I'm somewhat sympathetic towards you, is you can't find affordable housing. And I'll tell you right now, just to kind of show you the point I'm going to make, and how this is very serious for everyone involved, is talk to several contractors that I trust. It took me a while to find these people. I said, what percent of your time is cleaning up other people's mistakes? One guy was like, oh, 50%. Another guy said 60. Now think about that. Just think about nationally speaking, all the different contractors in America, all the different plumbers, tile people, electricians, all that. Half, let's just call it half their time is going and cleaning up other people's mistakes, which, if you do the math, means if people stop making mistakes, if these contractors weren't, too busy fucking their cattle and showing up drunk and playing the dick around game, whatever contractors do, we could have twice the amount of housing. Twice. Because they're half the time they're wasting it just fixing it up. They're not building new housing. They're cleaning up somebody else's mess. And if we could have twice the housing, which there are other hurdles in the way because you all let a bunch of Democrat Karens get in the way and like, no, you can't build affordable. No, it has to be a McMansion. Because, you just, yeah, put her in charge. I'm just saying from a simple economic standpoint, nationally speaking, we could double the housing supply if contractors did their job right. Now, I don't know how you get contractors to do their job right and stop fucking their sisters. But I'm just saying, in theory, that would lessen, double the housing supply or the amount of new housing hitting the market every year. That would help, right? So I want to read a tweet put out by a friend and colleague, Rachel Wilson, married to Andrew Wilson of the Wilson couple fame. Aaron Clary has been warning us that very soon there won't be enough skilled men to do a lot of the work that most of us take for granted. In the last 3 months, I have tried, one, a company to rebuild my deck. They tore half of it apart and started rebuilding it incorrectly. They cut all the boards too short. Then they just stopped showing up. This is common. This is to be expected. I'm lucky. I caught a leak one time before, leaks over time will destroy anything. I caught it in time, and all it did was start pulling up on a tiled floor. So it didn't cause any damage. I'm lucky I found it. Because if I had gone away for a weekend or whatever, it would have caused at least, some sheetrock damage and have to redo that. A company to clean up brush and overgrowth on my property. They ripped out a chunk of my fence accidentally, never fixed it, and then 2 of their workers got into a fist fight in my yard. They also stopped showing up. Let me explain. I'm going to explain to you now, okay? That was a great time where you got a bunch of jamokes fighting in your yard. There are obviously good contractors. They are a distinct minority in view. But your average contractor in America today, you're hiring middle schoolers. That is the best way to describe. And I'm not doing this. I don't have to be edgy. Okay. The average American fuckwit today is such a fuckwit. I just have to point it out. Right. We don't have to go and lampoon or be edgy with HR and DEI directors and marketing executives. They're fucking morons on themselves. The marketing dits that did the Mulvaney trans thing for Bud Light. The idiots at Harley Davidson decide they go woke. They'll do it on their own. These people are viable, despicable, stupid fucking people. And your average American contractor is a fucking middle schooler. Repeat after me. He is a middle schooler. You are trying to get, not even in 8th grade, a 7th grade boy who just happens to have hit puberty 15 years ago, show up on time, do the job right, do it right the first time, and then pick up after themselves. They are not, okay, everybody's capable of everything. They will choose not to do it. And right now, because there's a shortage, they could just do exactly this. They could just, skirt. They could coast. They could cheat. They'll do a shitty job, realize they're doing a shitty job, like, oh shit. And then you'll never hear from them again. They'll set up one LLC and then they'll piss off a bunch of customers. They'll be dragged into court by a bunch of customers. The LLC will file for bankruptcy. They'll set up another LLC. And then good luck going after them in court because they don't got the money. By the way, these are not terribly financially savvy people. Do you know what they are middle schoolers. Do you know a 7th grade boy that does well with his or her money? No, you don't. Oh, they got, but you see fancy trucks financed at 23%. You'll see fancy trucks. This is why I'm talking about it, to help you people avoid it, because if you're going to build a house, all right, or if you're just going to want to get some repairs are expensive, right? And it's on your number one asset, your house probably, right? Or your car. Everything I'm saying here applies to mechanics as well. If the tradesmen of America are a bunch of 7th grade sister fucking boys, and that's what most of them are, you can't be putting something as valuable as your house or property or your vehicle in their hands. Because not only, well, it's not safe. I had to resupport a deck because they didn't build it to code and to spec. Right? Thankfully, it only cost like $1,500 and a couple days labor with me and some buddies. God bless them. And none of us are contractors. We did a better job. Why? Because we're not a bunch of sister fucking 7th grade boys. We actually, it's not a high hurdle. We're smarter than that. We also have honor and integrity. Like, well, I don't want this deck to collapse on people, let alone me. And this is it epitomizes, it perfectly describes the competency, the maturity, and the ability of your average American contractor. And because there's such a shortage of contractors, let alone good ones, the entire market, I would say, is completely fucked. And it presents you a choice you got to make. And that is, one, should I do it myself, or should I invest the time to find someone who's going to do it right? And I'm going to tell you right now, especially depending on where you live. If you live in a hot housing market or a place where there just isn't that many people, obviously out here in South Dakota, there's not that many people. By the time you find someone to do it and the market works, people will figure out who the good contractors are. If you find someone who is competent enough to do it and does it on time and all that, those people are booked out. And depending on the project you need done, okay, maybe it could sit around for a year. But if not, I'm going to guess in about 85-90% of the time, you're better off doing it yourself. Now, it depends. I want, a high-end trade that's important, like plumbing or electricity. Yes, those you're just going to have to go at the behest and the mercy of contractors there. Although I'll tell you, you might as well be going to school. I am not joking. If you got some free time, go to a nighttime trade school. Learn how to do some basic plumbing. Learn how to do some basic wiring. Get the safety on all that. Your time will be so rewarded and such a high return on investment. Go buy some tools that allow you to do basic maintenance on your house. And then landscaping. And I guess, what would it be? Materials, construction, concrete. That will help too. But a lot of it's just labor. Okay, we got to cleaning up the yard. All right, well, I guess you go buy a Husqvarna weed whacker and you get yourself 2 gallons of gas or some 50-to-1 gas to oil, and you got yourself a weekend. I've also argued that there should be kind of an Amish community type of deal thing where, hey, we're all going to go over to Bob's house and fix his deck. Then we're going to go over to Jim's house and we're going to redo his driveway. And then we're going to go over to Frank's house and help him with the roof. And with YouTube and all that, I'm going to tell, I'm not kidding. About 85% of the time, you do not need, nor do you want a contractor. You could go online, and that takes intellectual honesty. You watch the videos. Maybe you get some help from somebody who has done this in the past. Ask them like, hey, can you help me out? That's what I did. Say, you're not doing the work. Just tell me if I'm doing this right or wrong. Yeah, it'll take time, but you know what? It'll take less time than when the real contractor come around and do it. It's going to take less time than the cousin fucking 7th grade dipshit, meth horking moron comes in and fucks it up. And it's going to take less money. And it'll be done right. It'll be done right. Yes, there might be issues where but yeah, you can put in your own windows. Look, how much time did y'all piss away in college? Yeah? All right. Well, you spent what, 6 months studying Karl Marx's dick and how everybody's oppressed except for white men? All right. Now imagine if you took all that time and learned how to put in windows. I think in a fraction of the time you learn how to put in windows. So yeah, I'm just the kid in a fist fight. Yeah, it's about right. It's about right. Cousin fuckers. Why, they should all just be called cousin fuckers contracting, That's what that's yeah. They also stopped showing up. And then third, a company to do bathroom remodeling. They ruined my shower by caulking it absurdly wrong, not even using proper materials. We asked them to remove it, and they didn't even remove it or correct it completely. All these companies were licensed, bonded, and professional organizations. I think we're screwed. Anyone else having these problems? Yeah, everyone else in the country. And as I said before, Americans as a whole, we should be abandoning colleges and universities en masse. Not as like a boycott, but because in the vast majority of instances, it's almost the same. 90% of you are going to college for completely worthless shit. Go look at the National Center for Education Statistics. Look at the degree. I use bachelor's degrees. Look at the type of degrees conferred. And you say, yeah, 9 out of 10 of these, you don't even have to be going to college. They're worthless fucking degrees. And I'd say maybe not 9 out of 10, but 80, 85% of the time, the contractors, you should not be hiring contractors. You should be doing it yourself. And it's not because, I want to teach them a lesson. It's because the economic proposition typically is better in your favor of you, Mr. fucking account. Like, I'm not kidding. I'm not joking. American contractors are so bad that Chad fucking I'm being 100% sincere about this. Chad fucking Elkins, CPA extraordinaire, starting from scratch. I don't know if he's ever held a wrench in his hand. I don't even know if he knows what a tape measure's for. I guarantee you, Chad Elkins could start from ground zero just with YouTube and not even help from me. And he could do, aside from installing an HVAC system or something, actually requiring, I bet you he could do half of all maintenance and auto mechanic problems, repairs, etc. Half of them better and cheaper than your average American contractor right now. And you know what? It's not because Chad somehow actually has a better skill or that these contractors don't have a skill. They got great skills. I'm going to say it again for you younger people. It's not that they're bad plumbers. It's not that they're bad framers or roofers. They are irresponsible and unreliable. They don't show up on time. They don't show up sober. They don't do it right. That's why most of the American contractors are a bunch of sister fuckers. That's why they're a bunch of you were in the 7th grade, right? I bet you most of us in the 7th grade, especially us boys, we probably could pull straight A's if we wanted to. Why? Why didn't we? Because we're a bunch of irresponsible 7th grade children. That's what minus the sister fucking, that's exclusive. That's where the contractors are unique. They stand out there. Who dang? So it's not that they don't have the skill. It's that they have the professionalism. Show up on time. Do the job right the first time. They will do 98% of the work and then just cut. Like you look like, why didn't you put flashing there? Yeah, it's done a certain way now, but how hard would it have been for you to put flashing there like you're supposed to? Well, Well, they gotta get back to the bar and get drunk and go do their meth. And so it's not really they could, and this is why I make listen to me, younger people. If you're looking for a job, if you're looking for a career profession, I mean, I got a course out there called The World's Greatest Accounting Career because there is a shortage of accountants. But holy shit, you could literally just walk in to any one of these trades. You got to get certified, you got to get licensed, okay? But it with the same skill and ability, but But, okay, you do all the work, right? You study, you go to trade school, you apprentice, you get your own license. You go through all of that work. But you then take the extra 3% to show up on time, show up sober, do the job right. And if you do it wrong, you have honor, you go back to build up a simple reputation. Dude, in a matter of like 2 years, you could go be working for yourself and billing out, depending on the trade, anywhere between 100 to 300. Plumbers, $300 an hour. I know they got costs and fees, and they got, I mean, you don't take home $300. But man, you could tell the trade, trades don't pay shit. They don't pay shit. I only make $18. Like, yeah, that's because you're the cousin fucker. You're the seventh grader who don't show up on time. If you started your own business and showed the fuck up on time, did the job right, did it sober, fine, you got to charge more. But it's actually cheaper than doing it wrong the first time and having to have to pay twice. This is not, and I'm not, the American contractor is too stupid and too lazy and too unprofessional to understand the point I'm trying to make. I'm talking to my audience or anyone has the slightest bit of responsibility and honor. Oh, I show up on time and do the job right the first time. I'm not drunk. I say I'm going to be there at that time, and I am there at that time. That is a concept that should just be basic, good fundamentals of business 101 or good employee 101. They don't get that. That simple 3% extra effort. Dude, walk in and take as much business as you want. And then once you get the reputation that you're the one who shows up on time, you do the job right the first time, people are going to recommend you. And I've said it before, name it sober carpentry, sober plumbing, meth-free roofing. People are like, what's that? Like, on-time electricians. It's so simple. And I know down below, we're going to, you are not allowed to talk anymore, Mr. and Mrs. people who destroy 50% of the home building capacity of the United States and consequently is making everyone poor here and destroying and making everyone poor. Shut the fuck up. I'm trying to give an opportunity for people who might actually have the responsibility, not even necessarily the intelligence, just the responsibility of golden rule 101 shit you should have learned in kindergarten. Show up on time, be sober, do the job right. And if you screw it up, you're going to screw up. That's fine. And then you learn, oh, yeah, we shouldn't have done it that way. And so there's a tremendous opportunity for younger people out there to go out and become a tradesman or tradeswoman. So you go. So I got my notes here because this is important. So let's go through here. The consequences of this, having something as critical as our home building capacity in the United States, there are serious consequences and yet a little bit of opportunities and things we have to pull from, rules we have to now follow, because the majority of our contractors, the majority of the people in the home building industry and the auto mechanic industry are 7th grade children. Okay, so a couple things. All right, one, no one should be hiring American contractors. I don't mean you import some Japanese contractors or you hire some Mexican roo. I'm not necessarily saying that, but it's specific. I don't know about other countries is what I'm saying. But here in the United States, you should be doing everything you can to do your own work and avoid hiring American contractors because it's going to be cheaper, less time, and higher quality. Yes, you random person walking down the street, but I'm an actuary. I know nothing. Yes, but you can look up things on YouTube and do it yourself. Right? Yeah, there'll be things where you're like, yeah, I better not mess with the electricity. Electricity, because it can kill you. That I'd be like, yeah, okay, how much blood money do you need? All right. So there is that. Second, if you do need to hire a contractor, you're like, boy, I really need the pro on doing this. Right. Start doing your research now. Right. You're going to, and it's going to take a while to find who is the good contractors here. It took me 3 years to find a good mechanic. Yep. The one mechanic who left the piece of wood in the engine bay. That's my favorite. Oh, by the way, we recommend no. You don't go with recommendations from other contractors. Oh, you got to go to Bobson. He'll take no. You walk in there. Hey, get your dick out of your sister. Work on this car now. They, I've had good contractors. We are flooded. We don't have enough time. We're booked solid. We recommend so and so, and then you call up so and so. So and so never gets back to you. Right? But what I would do, you got to find the old man who lives in town. Okay. Someone who's lived in the area a long time. And you ask them, who do you use as a plumber? Like, who's a good plumber? Who's a good electrician? Right? You go and you find a house that was built like, hey, your house is built new. Did you was there anything wrong with the house? They're gonna say one or two things. 85% of the time, they're gonna say, yeah, there was everything wrong. There's cousin fuckers, blah, blah, blah. But every once in a while, no, this guy was the best. This guy was the greatest. And you're like, cool. That's the guy you got to call. It's going to take time and research. You're going to have to go around and look at Yelp reviews. No. And then the other quick and dirty, for example, in the Twin Cities, you always saw Benjamin Franklin Plumbing. They were always on time. They did it. They did the thing. We're on time or we pay you. They charged an arm and a leg, but it was worth it. Look around for a company that has multiple vehicles, like a fleet. In Rapid City, it's called Loyal Plumbing. Not to besmirch the other plumbers out there that are, but if you have a fleet, that usually means there's a system of organization and a little bit of professionalism and somebody at the top who's going to answer to it. You gotta, and it's depending on where you are, you may not have that option. But if you're a major metro, look around. Like I said, Benjamin Franklin Plumbing, you saw their trucks all the time. Like, okay, that's at least a functional organization. And then there's probably a customer service number and somebody who gives a shit, like a manager of the plumbers, like, hey, Billy didn't do his job right. There's still flooding in the basement. But otherwise, I would, one, do your own work if you can. Two, if you can't do your own work, let's say your electricity is out. All right. I guess you're throwing away all your food in the fridge and waiting until you find yourself a good electrician. It's worth that. Right? But I would even start now. If you're about to become a homeowner, you should have on your to-do list, even if there's nothing wrong with your house, go and hunt down the best electrician in your area. Go and hunt down the best plumber in your area. Go and hunt down the best landscaper in your area. That's what I would be doing, even if there's nothing wrong with your house, so that when something does go wrong with your house, boom, garage door company. I mean, there's a lot of things that go into your house. I had to fix up the garage down in the Southern Command for my buddy. That took a process. I had to find out. A1 Garage Door Company. They showed up, did the job right, and on time. There you go. Those are my guys in Vegas. They did it right. And I'll call them again. But don't be at an emergency quickly looking for, and then Jessup, the cactus humping yokel, comes in, and then you're wondering why your house is on fire the next day. I've already made the point that American contractors are making people poor, where we get half the housing with twice the cost of repairs. If we had functional politicians, they would be cracking down on these contractors. Like Thor pissed off because someone fucked his wife. They would be coming down on these contractors because they're building dangerous things. I've seen enough safety, and like not okay. Codes can maybe go above and beyond the Call of Duty, but when you got things that would collapse with people on them, and good luck trying to get anyone higher up, whether it's the county or the state, to give a fuck. This this is something where Democrats or Republicans could get involved and say, all right, they're just banging out shit and stealing people's money. But that's that politicians don't care about that. But that means you have to do something about it. And the first thing is just not getting involved with these people. Right? Again, if possible, do it yourself. And you know what? You know what? A lot of times it's just ends up being fun. You get yourself a really good trade, and then you get better at it. You get a really good skill, and you just get better at it. All of a sudden, you're like, nah, I could do that myself. You also get intricately familiar where everything is at the hardware store, which hardware store has the things and which ones don't. That's a whole other discussion. We don't have that. Well, then why are you in fucking business? But it's a different discussion. And all of a sudden, you become very, very handy. And what would normally be a $10,000 repair, you could do is say, no, 10,000, get the fuck out of here. I had somebody quote me $91,000. I'm like, no. And they're that much of scum. Like they're like, oh, we'll get these yokels. They'll pay for anything. Like, no, we won't pay for anything. I'll do that myself. Thank you. Oh, they're highway robbery. There's some out there that'll try and get you because you girls, because you girl boss, you have your master's degree, but you have no street smarts and no knowledge or ability on how to fix a car or a house or anything. They will fleece you. They'll fleece you. And so you'll all of a sudden be able to like, yeah, I could do that myself. You'll start to look at it like, well, if we do this and we do that, then we can do it. And by the way, just so you know, when you start talking to your old male buddies, hey, what do you think about that? They're all going to have a different opinion. All right. Everybody's going to do everything differently. And I imagine that's contractors too. You'd like to think like, oh no, there's a set precise way. No. And then you find out, well, if I do the math and I think things thoroughly through and I look up enough YouTube videos, you will come up with like, you could look at it and say, well, wait, yeah, I could do that. And that's how that's done. And I could put that over there. then comes the old men coming over and they grade your work. Well, why'd you do it that way? Well, because of this. Oh, yeah. Well, I would have done that. Yeah, but if you did it this way, then that would happen. Oh, yeah. I give you like a B minus. Oh, thanks. Coming from you, that's high praise. And then when you get the old man who knows things more than you, and he gives you a passing grade, you're like, I did it. And I'll tell you this, you don't have to go to the gym. I haven't gone to the gym in 10 days. I've been working on concrete and resupporting a deck and heavy timbers and all this other stuff. You don't have to go to the gym. And then nationally speaking, because housing is such a large percentage of your budget, and because if you look at your expense and cars and all that, they consume a pluralistic percent of your personal budget. That means you need to go and make money to afford those things, right? You work up money. You can't even work up the money to buy a house or car cash outright. You got to go and get a loan for it typically, right? Well, thank God we have the division of labor. So, Chad could go be an accountant, provide a lot of accounting, just focus on accounting, provide a lot of high quality, focused division of labor, specialized accounting to the society. And then he could pay plumber Bob to go and plumb the house. Well, with tradesmen more or less becoming completely unreliable, that means we no longer can really do the division of labor, especially when it comes to the most labor consuming aspect of our lives, and that would be your housing and your cars. So now we all kind of have to come off the front lines of our respective specialty, our profession, provide less of that and less quality of that, and do basic and maybe not so basic maintenance or repairs on our homes and our cars. And this is where it's one of those things you don't really see it. This is, I know there's many things that'll sink and destroy the U.S. economy. This is what's really going to hurt the economy more than anything else. This is the real cost. Having a bunch of seventh graders in charge of building our housing stock has an effect on us because now, oh, surprise, you can't find people. We can't find people. There's just not enough labor to go around. We can't find people. Yeah, because we're all coming back home trying to do our own repairs, trying to fix our own cars, trying to fix our own houses. And it's if you ever get in now, if you're you're renting an apartment, you won't have to deal with this. But down the road, if you want to become a homeowner, you're going to have to just assume you got a new part-time job to maintain your home. And the amount of less and lower quality labor that's going to go into the market because now we have to essentially babysit or outright fire all American contractors and just do it ourselves. That's less time that we have to go and actually pursue our own profession. We're kind of devolving as the economy comes along. The division of labor is very important. And now we all have to become a jack of all trades. Right? In the olden days, you could pretty much outsource your food, right? We can go and get some decent food. Now it's like, okay, it's too expensive, too pricey. People aren't doing the jobs right at the restaurants. Half the time they're not open. God, Lord knows what they're putting in the food nowadays. Like, now you got to cook. Now you got to work on it. You're almost going back to like 1890s farming where you're doing everything on the homestead. And that's fine if you like that lifestyle, but it's going to have tremendous consequences to the quality and the volume of our production in the more formalized economy. And so that's where I philosophically, I have such a contempt and hatred of your average contractor. Well, you're thieves. You're just unreliable thieves. I love the arrogance and hubris where you're like, hey, you did this wrong. Well, fuck up. Seventh graders. Dealing with fucking seventh graders. But it's a reality. And so because it's the destruction and division of labor, I am not kidding. If colleges actually gave a shit about making your lives better, they would offer minors in trades. That'd be a great thing universities could do. You offer minors in trades. Like, okay, here's how you wire a house. Here's how you plumb a house. Here's how you fix a car. Oop, I lost it. There to go. No, that's not it. But since that's not going to happen, I would definitely be going to the local trade school, the local community ed program. Learn how to do, especially you younger people. Look, okay, many of you may just rent a place or live at home, which I don't blame you. You're like, well, I'm not going to own a home because it's too expensive. All right, fine. Do learn how to work on your cars. Okay. That's one thing. Learn how to work on your computers, although nowadays they're so cheap, you just buy a new one and replace it. The day is coming that your car or whatever, the alternator goes, there's no mechanics around that know how to do it. Well, the mechanic's gonna I had mechanics fuck up my wife. They changed tires. They cut a wire. I'm like, how the fuck do you cut a wire? Discount Tire, ladies and gentlemen. Discount Tire, never good. Oh, and Discount Tire is also the ones that add the $100 insurance fee. You say, what the fuck is this insurance fee? Well, that's in case your tire pops. I'm like, if my tire pops, a brand new tire tops, you're going to replace it for free. Get that fucking on. Discount Tire, ladies and gentlemen. A cousin fucking tire store. There you go. And don't even get me started about how contractors pad and make off with the money. So yeah, you're kind of dealing with criminals at this point, and you're just better off avoiding them altogether. So let's go through a couple things here for you young people and older people who are going to have to rely on tradesmen in the future. One, do your own labor, go to school of some kind, whether it's for your profession or just something on the side to learn your plumbing, wiring, mechanics, all that. Two, I would be buying tools before I'd be buying any kind of like video games or anything like that. I try to get it to the point that it's a fun hobby where I enjoy wrenching on things in my garage now. I enjoy that. I don't even mind the labor. Like it's exercise and you don't have to go to the gym. There's a tremendous amount of pride. I know Democrats and people who are raised by government checks don't believe in that pride thing. Dude, when I poured the concrete and it was perfectly straight and level because you get the level. Yeah, I did that right. And the whole thing didn't come collapsing down. Like, yeah, you look, there's pride. You'll never get that. So I'd get getting your own tools. People say, "What do you want?" I want tools. And if you're going to buy tools, get Milwaukee tools. You could go to Harbor Freight or some off-brand other tools if you need a tool for one time. Like my compression checker for cylinders is from Harbor Freight. Still works. But you're talking your drills, your saws, your socket wrench sets. I'd be getting all Milwaukee tools because I just had a Craftsman. Fuck Craftsman. I had a drill that just broke on me. I'm like, what the fuck? It was like a $200 drill. It was supposed to be one of those powerful drill. I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I'll never get Craftsman again. Write this down. Okay. Don't go to Discount Tire. Don't go to American Family Insurance. Never go to the Carlson School of Management. Don't go to Craftsman. Don't get Craftsman. I'm saving you time. Thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. 2, because of a lack of tradesmen, competent tradesmen, I should say, young people are going to have to look for alternative forms of housing. You still need to live somewhere. You can still become a property owner, but the emphasis is on property, not the home. And so, what I would encourage young people to do if you'd like to get into home ownership is look at things like RVs or van life, prefab homes. There are places where the YouTube channels where you can go buy a tough shed, like a shed, and you can retrofit that, insulate it, put in plumbing and all that. Quonset huts, unconventional housing, barn dominiums, or just building your own. I know a gal out in Tennessee who she just builds cabins for people, right? And it's times have evolved where, half you ain't getting married. I mean, they forecast half people ain't going to be married or having kids, right? But you still need a place to live. But if it's just you you don't need no 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house in the mixed suburbs with your McMansion. You just need a place to sleep. My buddy Con, he's past 10 years, he's just lived in basically a 1-bedroom house, mother-in-law house. It's got a bedroom, a living room with a kitchenette, and then a bath and shower at the end of the bathroom. It's a section, very small. I don't think it's more than 900 square feet. All right. So if you can build that, and chances are you could build it yourself, pay the plumber and the electrician to wire it and plumb it, and then let's say it's shit and it tears down and like whatever in 15 years oh god yeah it fell apart. Well, that's 15 years whatever, $30,000 in materials. You could build a little 1-bedroom house. But this thing goes to 3, where I really believe this is the future, and this is where government could come in and help young people, but we got to vote Democrat, right? Zoning and codes are going to be the future. And I don't mean that cities and counties are going to come up with different zoning and codes where like, oh yeah, well, we should allow for some people to build their own homes, or yeah, you could buy the property, put whatever you want on it. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that for young people, or maybe even old people who just want to retire, you're going to do yourself a service, especially if you're remotely employed, which if, by the way, you want to become remotely employed, may I recommend the world's greatest accounting career course available on Teachable, where accounting is, I think, one of the most remotely employable and self-employable career. But let's say you become an accountant, you got yourself your internet access, you can live everywhere you want. If you go to the city, nope, it's all multi-housing, low-income housing, and you have to meet all these codes. Right? You can't put your trailer there. This is whatever piece of shit. This is Philadelphia. We'll allow people to shit in the street, but you can't put your trailer there. Oh, that's just crazy. The suburbs, oh my God, all the liberal white Karens are going to have a conniption. They'll throw a fit If somebody goes and builds a house that's a one-bedroom one, what if they're poor people? I thought you vote Democrat all the time. And what that's to be popular. I don't actually give a shit about those people. Herman, he only makes $60,000 a year, has a small house. So there, the city councils have, you can't just put a trailer park anywhere. You can't just buy a piece of property, put a trailer on it, right? But there might be some exurb areas or rural areas where you could buy a piece of property. No one gives a fuck what you put on there because they don't care. Matter of fact, if you go to Wyoming, you're going to find out it might actually be the opposite. You're going to look around like, why the fuck does no one take pride in their housing? And then you'll go build a little puny rink-a-dink house, but because it looks nice, people are like, what do you think, you're better than us? Think you're better than us? Yeah, if you took the heroin needle out of your arm, I could tell you I'm better than you. That's Wyoming. That's a special place in America. But that's what I would be doing longer term planning for you young people if you want to look into actually becoming a homeowner in America. It's very difficult, if not impossible, doing it the traditional way, yes. But it's not impossible if you're flexible. Where you could go where, like, yeah, you buy the land, you put a little rink-a-dink house or even a tough shed or a trailer on there. You get a water system or a well or whatever. In other words, the being able to build your own home or find a place that will allow you to have, there's like a prefab company called Blocks, BLOX. I think the house just unfolds. Now, the quality and how long it's going to last is another issue. But, dude, you just need lodging. And it's really the land that you're buying that's going to go up in value or at least hedge against inflation. It's not this 90s McMansion home that's going to look like an episode of Parker Lewis Can't Lose. No one's going to get that obscure cultural reference either. And then finally, for those of you, you're looking just to, it's not going to be an easy job. It's physically demanding, but man, you don't have to go to the gym. That's a serious thing. You don't have to, you'll be in shape. Go into the trades. Go into the trades and be sober, be punctual, be responsible, do the job right, and then just pick up after yourself. And man, one, yes, there are difficulties working. You have to go and apprentice under other cousin fuckers. And yes, I know some of those master carpenters, master whatever, they're not exactly the brightest or the best, and they'll just have you be a gopher. I get it. But once you get your licensure, I'd be immediately looking at self-employment. And on the sole grounds, like, I will show up on time and do the job right. And I'll do it sober. And you know what? As a relatively new licensed tradesman, whichever trades it might be, yes, you're going to make mistakes. But you will make those mistakes and you fix them up and say, sorry, ma'am, I screwed this up. It's going to be another day or two. I'm not going to charge you extra. If you have simple fucking honor and maturity, yes, you're going to make mistakes. Going to cost you a little bit up front. Dude, you're set. I know a young man. I told him years ago, like, yeah, you should go into the trades. What did he become? Is it HVAC? He just shows up on time and is sober. And now he's making 120,000. I don't even think he's 31, 32. But he got promoted to manager. Yeah, he had the skill and all that, but he just showed up on time and sober. That was it. It's just, you could go and make 6 figs and have a skill. And then also, I've said this before, let's say you become a plumber, all right, well, you can plumb your own house, right? Well, then here now we go into the Amish thing, community. Remember when we used to have community, right? Say, hey, Bill, you go to Bill the electrician. Bill, are you building a house? Well, I'll do the plumbing for that if you do electrical wiring. You say, well, what if Bill isn't building himself a new house? Bill the electrician is going to be working on houses that need plumbing. You say, I'll do your plumbing for free on that house, and you could charge him full price, and then you come over here and you wire my house. In other words, if you have an actual good skill or a trade, you can go and barter other tradesmen or tradeswomen to go and complete different aspects of your house. If you go and work on their house for free, and then you got barter, you technically save tax. The IRS wants you to report that on your taxes. I don't know if I'd be, yeah, okay, sure, fine. But it's, and usually, they'll like, I'm not going to fuck over my buddy. I'm going to do it right. Although I don't know, tradesmen might be able to speak differently to that. But in a short version, I would definitely be looking into the trades as a viable long-term career. Uh, because it's just so wide. It's so fucking open. The really, it's worse than having no one there. You have a bunch of frauds wasting people's time and money, like Rachel pointed out. That's even worse than having no one around, because you're wasting your time and money on shit that ain't going to get done. Just, it's not that hard. It's not that hard to figure that out. Link below, I have a couple links. First and foremost would be a website, a YouTube channel by Scott Wilson called Dumbass Contractors. Scott is an old school contractor. He does it right. If you are interested in learning how to become a contractor in the world of contracting, go to Dumbass Contractors on YouTube. Subscribe to his channel. He gives great advice on getting into the field. What else do I have? Do I have anything else? No, I think that was it. I link down below. I think I got a link to all my books and courses and things like that. I got a lot of financial planning courses on Teachable. You can find them down below. Got questions, you go to assholeconsulting.com. And that's it, man. That's it. You share this, if you would, with anyone who's about to build a house. Share this with anyone who, oh God, I got to find a tradesman of some kind. These are pretty much, on the whole, horrible, unreliable people in the United States. They are destroying the U.S. economy. You cannot rely on them. And as a group, Americans just have to abandon these people for your own sake. And if you contractors don't like it, well, then maybe you ought to sober up and do your fucking job right and manage your reputation a little bit. Well, you'll see. There's going to be two types of contractors. Like, yeah, we got a problem. But that's why I make it. And then there's, you don't fucking, yeah, go do your meth. Go do your meth. All right, let's go to the super chats. I bet you in the comment section, you're going to see just horror stories. And then what I want you to do for every horror story down there, ask yourself how much of everybody's time was wasted, how much money was pissed away on nothing, and what would have happened to the housing supply if we were allowed to take all those resources and actually build new housing right the first time. Bob, damn, you can't trust anyone nowadays. I understand why you're always pissed off. Yes. Oh, by the way, all right, contractor's only one. I can't go out into public. Me and my buddy Frank were talking about going into public where you just, the gas pump doesn't work. You all know about restaurants and Perkins Pie and all that. What % of your time is wasted going out there? A big, even though not directly contractors, but related. So the project I'm working on, resupporting the deck, you think you go to Menards or Lowe's and find everything you need? No. I had to go like 3, sometimes 4 different hardware stores to find everything. This is happening to all industries in America because it isn't something specific to contractors. It's the quality and pool of your average American who has been raised or has been lacked to be raised and has resulted in a bunch of adult children who don't show up on time and do their job right. Universally. And so, in other words, participating in society is largely becoming a money-losing or a time-losing proposition where, yeah, you're just better off staying. The day is coming where you're all just going to have to be off-grid. You're just going to have to be supporting. You're just going to, the food truck didn't come in today because Billy the truck driver was too busy fucking his sister. And so, thank God we, grew our own crops or distilled our own booze. For the structure of society, it's really hard to be your handyman. Yeah. I would have liked to at one time just been an economist, That's what I would have liked to have done, but no, I can't do that. I got a buddy who runs a handyman company in the Twin Cities. He pays $30 an hour. You don't need a degree or nothing. You just need to show up on time and have some abilities and skills. He can't find anyone to just show up on time. Guy does, I think, 70% of the jobs himself. He's a handyman, like assemble furniture, fix the weed whacker, that type of stuff. And $30 an hour, still can't find anyone to do it. It's like, okay, yep. Gaunter O'Dim, 10 generous dollars. The degradation of conscientiousness in every sector is the main issue, in my opinion, but at least they are not power These are not power walkers. Trades will be a cash cow, and Mike Rowe has been talking about for what? Yeah, Mike Rowe has been on this for over a decade, probably more like 15 years. Hey, that's the guy from Witcher. I recognize him. I'm on that mission right now. Bob, $5. I have the same issue with my car mechanic. I'm going to save money to buy my equipment, fix my car myself, and buy another used car. Yeah. Cars are just, those are expensive tools. You need to get a lift. It's dirty. Yeah. It's harder to repair a car than a house, I'd say. Great Southern Plumbing and Gas, what WA? 20 Australian dollars. See, now Australia might have a different culture because they say tradies get the ladies down there. So they might actually like their contractors. The social contracts between men and women, young and old, employer, employee, customer, and contractor appear to be deteriorating rapidly. Capitalism don't work if these institutions are gone. Ask me how I know. It's not it's not capitalism, or it has nothing to do with the isms or it's honoring your word. Are you going to do what you said you're going to do? That applies in communist economies as well. It's just, okay, you're going to go and work the field. I don't care how you're paid or compensated by the state or by a private individual. It's just honoring your word. And you're right, it's happening everywhere. Husband, wife, parent, child, employee, employer. Nothing, society won't work, regardless of whichever economic system you wish to have on top of it, if people don't honor their word. Well, I'm kind of like pro Japan long term. Yeah, okay, declining population, okay, government spending, but at least they honor their word there. There's an honor culture involved. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $5. Herkadirk. You know my cousin JD. He's a good contractor. He's fallen on hard times with the divorce and his truck loan. That's why he's not at the job site. I know. Like, it's funny. They'll come up with the most girly, bitchy excuses. Oh, he's having a hard time. Fuck you. Fuck him. No, he's hungover. He's drunk. That's it. That's the idea. He does. Coming up for hard times. Well, maybe you shouldn't do meth. That's just me. Shark Taz, $10. It was not by making yourself heard, but staying sane that you carried on the human heritage. 1984. Hope you enjoyed the songs I sang. Yeah, I did, Shark. I got them. Yep. They're not, you sent me video files. You don't have them on YouTube? Because then I could promote it. I can like, oh, hey, everyone, go to, by the way, everyone should subscribe to Shark Toss, and you should listen to Shark Toss because he knows everything about sharks and lounge music. What? Yes, go listen to it. You'll see what I'm talking about. JJJS, $2 Canadian. Tell us a happy story of you dating. Bless you. Happy story of me dating. Okay, Japanese honor. Here we go. I think it was the only Japanese girl I dated, like legit from Japan, English as a second language. I had a little convertible at the time, little black thing. And I forgot how I met her. And I asked her if I think it was she was a foreigner, and she didn't know the Twin Cities area. And I don't know if she was a student or a worker. I think she was a worker because I wasn't in college at this time. And I always, like if someone comes overseas, you're like, well, let me show you around, so you're not completely lost. And and I said, would you like to go and I'll drive you around? And she said, yeah. And so I just took her around, and what did I do? I took her to like the mainstays, like Sebastian Joe's, and went around the lakes, went down the parkway, and okay, that's over there, and this is over there. And she showed up on time. She had a nice, cute little skirt on, and she was very polite. She didn't have a terrible command of the English language. So there wasn't a lot of talking. But it was a nice and pleasant experience. And I don't think there was any There was no sexual chemistry, I don't believe, but she was just nice and polite and feminine, and it was an enjoyable day. There. Happy story? Gonter O'Dim, $5. Sheconomy, Operation Evil. There's money in the trades now and going forward, and at least it can be honest work. Oh my God, my toilet is broke. I'm Gonter. Listen to me. Listen to me. There will be prostitution involved in this. The amount of oops, my car don't work. Like, except it ain't gonna be a prawn show. It ain't gonna be Nebraska. There will be bartering of a different sort, and it will be because of this. There's YouTube videos, or maybe it's TikTok videos of girls who are like, I'm investing in real estate. I'm a real estate girl. Look out, I'm a real estate girl boss. And then all of a sudden there's videos like, this is horrible. I can't do it. This is bullying. I don't know how people make money. It's like, yeah, but did you buy one single wrench? Did you learn to fix anything? No. There will be. In the olden days, we called it where a man would fix a woman's house. We called that marriage. But now there won't be no husband-wife contract. It'll be a different arrangement of sorts. Love. I'm in love for 2 hours. Digsby Sellers, $2. To be American means to be a scam artist. We all know. Yes, you're not wrong. How can I get the most amount of money by giving the least amount of work, even if it violates social contracts and even is illegal? And can I get away with it? That's Americans. That's Americans. That's colleges and universities. How much can we charge in tuition to enrich ourselves off of the naivete and stupidity of young people who've been fed a bunch of Marxist, leftist, Democrat hogwash? Oh, yeah, sure. $350 a credit. We'll give you what? Some Texas University came out with a degree in social media. You can actually major in podcasting now. Yep. Americans are a despicable group of people. They're despicable. Nerds who lift, $2. Goalpost electrical engineering graduate, 2 to 3 acres, small barndominium. Yep. Exactly. It is, think about how much money and how much labor you're going to spend to analyze it a different way. With interest rates, taxes, how much do you got to work to pay not only the mortgage, but all the interest and fees on a house if you were to purchase a home a traditional way with a mortgage versus work up the money, buy a plot of land? You go in there and you put in the sweat equity without taking on a loan. You pour the concrete foundation. You then put a frame on top of it. Like, in my mind, I got an idea of how to do it, but this is where that prefab homes, you assemble it here, you do it this way. What if okay, fine. Let's say instead of going to college, you spend 4 years physically building your house, making all the mistakes. At the end of the 4 years, how much further ahead are you than the average college graduating dipshit? You could build a home in 4 years. Now, it may not be the greatest, biggest home, but I guarantee you in 4 years' time, maybe you need a little bit of help, but you could build a home. So you work during the daytime, right? Mom and dad let you crash at their place for 4 years, and then you go out on weekends and nights and you start building a home. You're 22, you own a home. Maybe even cash outright. A little bit of a loan on the property. Oh, that's right. Karen's going to get in the way. And rules and regulations, no, you can't build that type of home. No. It has to be at least 4 bedroom, 3 bath. Need to pull out a 3-car garage. Minimum. We have standards. Koopa, the Goblin Troopa, $10. Hey, Cappy, thanks for your advice. I'm finally debt-free. Planning on learning a trade in case my current gig software falls apart. Got to save up for it through tired of debt. Here's another thing. I'll tell you this. My buddy who runs the handyman service, dude, go look for handyman service. If you just get some tools and some basic skills, go work that. Go find the handyman service, because my buddy runs one of them. And it's a franchise. I forget the name of the franchise. But if you're in a large metro area, look up handyman service and see if they're hiring. And so then you don't necessarily have to get your licensure. You know, you're paid 25, $30 an hour to go put together Grandma Tilly's new table. You're paid $30 an hour to replace the garbage disposal under a sink. That Go look at that. You could just start working. It's like the same thing with accounting. That's why I keep the world's greatest accounting career, everybody. Look it up on Teachable. You don't have to go to college. You could just get certified in some software like QuickBooks or go get your enrolled agent certification. You don't need to go through fucking college. Shark Toss, 10 generous dollars. Had some guys try to charge me $400 to change my spark plugs. Spark plugs. I'm going to guess they're right on top, not underneath. After research about the process and what tools were needed, I did myself in an hour. YouTube University is the future. Yeah. And that's another thing is people are starting to fuck people over. Jiffy Lube in Vegas. Car needed an oil change. Just a little 4-banger car, 4 quarts of oil. $100. Fuck off. And I don't even know if your guys are going to do it right, I really don't. I don't know if you guys are going to do it right. God, past 3 out of 7 times, or 3 out of 4 times I've gone to the mechanic, they fucked something up, stripped a bolt, cut a wire. Yeah, man. No, dude, I'm not paying $100 for an oil change. I'll just go get the oil, the cheap Walmart brand oil, because I got a cheap Walmart brand car. And in 15 minutes, I'll have my oil changed. Spark plugs? No. Did you get the magnet thing? And get, Gaunter O'Dim, $5. Apprenticeship only really matters when union trade positions, at least where I live. You don't need to really go through the apprenticeship for your information. Yeah, it's all different based on the state and union and not. I just know, 1, the union's corrupt. 2, when you got to do that apprenticeship, the bosses, that's the main complaint. The bosses, why would I trade him if he's going to take away my job? What? There would be an instance for government intervention. Government comes in, yeah, we're not doing this apprenticeship, apprentice or apprenticee thing. Here's a training program. We're going to have you all get your license, and now we're done with this apprenticeship bullshit. Lay Ice Dragon, $2. Is 26, 27 too old to get into the trades? No. Not too old. Christoph and on, $5. Wyoming contractor nightmare here. Need to sell home to move. Getting them to show up? Nope. Should have gone to someone in Fort Collins. Oh, you mean like getting people to move, like movers? Yeah, I'd be renting the U-Haul and doing it myself. Guys, let's just use this rule. Let's say you got a 1 in 3 chance of the person saying they're going to do the thing, not doing the thing, or doing it wrong. I think that's optimistic. I think it's more like 1 in 5, 1 in 2, like a 50% chance. Let's just say it's 1 in 3. You have a 33% chance that all the effort you put into going and finding and hiring, whoever it might be, a mover, someone to mow your lawn, they're not going to do it. With that 1 in 3 chance, now you got to go, and at minimum, it necessitates more time and effort to go find another person who's going to be that way. At the end of the day, do it yourself. And the 2 upsides I could point out is 1, you get exercise. You don't have to go to the gym. And 2, you will slowly build up trades and abilities. And 3, dude, do you think if the world goes to shit, I'm worried? Like, I got okay mechanic abilities. I got okay carpentry skills. I can go and say, hey, Tilly, do you need do you need that table assembled? Do you need your lawn mowed? I know how to repair a small engine. I know how to sharpen the blades. I can mow your yard. Yeah, it's going to cost $200 because it's a big yard, but I can do it. And I'll use my push more. I'll get my exercise. I made my money for the day. Tilly's yard got mowed. I can show up on time and bartend. Yeah, I won't steal from the till. Yeah, you're going to pay me $20 an hour in tips? I'll be there, sure. Gaunter O'Dim, $10. Hope you enjoy Witcher 3. Yeah, it's good. O'Dim is misunderstood in my opinion. He's also known as Master Mirror. Think about that. He tends to reflect who he's dealing with. Hence, he's generally good to Gerald. Or Geralt. Yeah, O'Dim is one of my favorite characters, if not my favorite character of the entire series, because he's just so knowing. And you're like, whoa, this guy, and he doesn't have to do anything. And he just, uh, what I like about he's almost like a god. No one could hurt him. So he could be vindictive or malicious, but he seems like he's got a code of ethics that he follows anyway, even though he doesn't have to. He seems almost entertained by the trials and travails of humans. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $5, but don't worry, Herkadurkadurk. JD and his sister wife just checked into rehab for the 5th time. I know his credit score is shot, but he's trying. The number of tradesmen we saw come in for loans who were just fucking up their finances and not doing their job. Oh my God. Christoph Anon, $5. Russian contractors, one item at a time. Say foundation first, partial payment, full and completion. Then start on next phase. Nice. Nice. I also heard in Russia, like they don't they'll build you the house, but you got to do the trim work and plumbing and electricity and all that other stuff. That's at least what I heard. Thumper, the sweaty fat guy, $5. 2013 divorce, got 13 acres, $27K, $15,000 loan for $30K. Built a shop, July, November of 3rd. Container made a house in 3 days. 19 rebuilt the house, debt freezes 21. Yeah, look, you got a shop, you got a house made of containers. Took you 7-11. That took you 5 months to build it. Guys, go and learn a trade. Go and learn some basic carpentry like framing, how to pour concrete. Go on YouTube, find out how find a place that you can build your little bachelor hut where you got housing, debatably for the rest of your life. And you're not signing up at 8.5% interest rate for 30 years with 5% down, wiping out all your savings to live in the McMansion suburbs where you got HOA fees of $400 a month. No, you got a place for you to eat, sleep, and shit, and maybe sit on a nice little patio and have yourself a cup of coffee in the morning and enjoy life. The fucking nightmare the McMansion McSuburbs typical American home ownership has become. I didn't even build that big of a fucking house. I got actually quite a modest home. It's still a pain in the ass. Generation Apollo, $5. Companies make tech better. Nah, let's just keep making the same TVs and figure out how to charge subscriptions to watch in color versus black and white. Right, that shit. Right, like I got to go out. Microsoft, they're thinking about, well, they are going to, Windows 11, they're going to force you to switch in 2025. Microsoft Windows spies on you. It reports data back, I think, to Microsoft, maybe even the government. No. I will install Linux. Now I got to spend an hour installing Linux and fucking around with that shit and reasons because it's so much fun. Could you imagine if corporations and the rest of Americans stopped fucking with the rest of Americans and just had honor and dealt with each other straight? How much more real GDP and our standards of living could go up? We could double it. We could double it in one fucking year. But Americans are scum. You're just fucking scum. But we gotta play this fuck around game where I gotta deprogram my television. I got a Canon printer right here. By the way, don't get Canon printers. It only works if I can print things once, and I have to turn it off, and I got to turn it back on again. It's getting me by now because I don't have a high printing demand. But why the fuck did I work the 4 or 5 hours to pay for this printer? Why did I do that? And don't get me started about tech. For whatever reason, my email isn't working at Asshole Consulting, like the contact form. So you got to email me or just use my regular email. So I've made the adjustment. By the way, if you got questions, you can always go to assholeconsulting.com. Yeah, do I have the 5 hours today to go troubleshoot it myself or call up the IT guy and pay him 5 hours of my time? No, you know what I'd like to do? I'd like to get on and enjoy my life. But no, I got cousin fucker America going on here. Every piece of machinery and every piece of equipment and every item you own has to go down or fuck up because of updates. This and that. We improved it. And all I want to do, I just want to finish The Witcher before I got to leave for the Southern Command. Naughty DJ Aftershock, $2. Herkadirk, we got to help the little people like JD. And the Plains Warrior, $2. What is this word honor you speak? Dude, it's how could I put it? I am not for communism. Communism, if it were to work, you need people to, quote, do the right thing all the time. They have to go against what's in their best interest and just essentially work for free, hoping everybody else works for free. And then there's a tonnage of shit. Not only works for free, but does their best and the most so that warehouses are just chock full of shit. Honor is more that is formed in the cauldron of society, family, going to school, going to work, where, a man is only worth his word. And to have to have your home individual network work, you can't be a lying sack of shit. And then hopefully you get to the point where, okay, I can't just lie to my parents or beat the shit out of kids at school or have no honor among the people that I interact with because they will not reciprocate that honor in me and I will be ostracized. And essentially, I would die in village times. So, honor should be installed in you by about 12 or 13 years old. And then ideally, you would carry that on because, it's in everyone's best interest, my own as well, to work as hard as I can for the corporation. The corporation, it's in my best interest to make sure we pay this person enough money so they don't go somewhere else. We don't waste our time on training and they do put forth the best. It's just, I'm not saying it's a simple concept, but it should be on par with MBAs getting their dicks out of their own mouths and saying, hey, maybe we ought to think about all the future quarters, not just the next quarter, and view clients as long-term relationships as long as possible, probably because we want to maximize our profit. Honor is the right choice. It is in your best interests. But people are too stupid or too immoral, too lazy, or maybe they got their food, clothing, and shelter paid for. They don't have to worry about it, that they are unhonorable or dishonorable. Why would I do that? It's like, yeah, you don't understand. You could totally see it where you got people who are trying to escape the ghetto or the trailer park and kind of the crabs in a bucket. Well, you think you're better than me? Think you're better than me? It's like, yeah, you were dishonorable. You didn't honor your word. You're stuck in this shit community. But these people are going to fuck you over too, just as you're going to fuck over them. It's not until you get out of that and you actually have honor and do what you say you're going to, you build up a reputation, then other people are going to invest in you. Same thing with the trade. I will build this home for this price by this time. Honor your word. And if you do it, guess what? You'll get all the business you want in the world. But no, they're too stupid to think step 2 or 3. I know. I'll chintz this guy so I could go back to porking my sister and drinking beer. Mason, $5. I live in a bachelor hut, 1 bedroom, 1 bathroom, big garage. Oh, man, you're in heaven, huh? Oh, that sounds wonderful. Thought about buying a bigger house with spare room for office, but probably not worth it. Can you just add to what you got now, man? I understand wanting to have an office. I really get that. But can you just add another room? Before I moved out of Minnesota, I took a shed and I retrofitted it into audio or into a recording studio. Turned out real good audio quality. Yeah, why not? It was really insulated too. Got hot in winter. I don't think it's worth it. Why don't you look into building a recording studio off the garage or something? Author Digby Sellers, $2. It's insane how many cell phone models there are. Cell phone models? I mean, like Pixel and Samsung and all that? ET, $5. Hey, Cappy, what's the age cutoff for living at home regardless of your financial situation? The highest, the absolute highest I would go would be like 30. But you'd have to be going to medical school or dental school or nurse practitioner, something like that. That would be the absolute, because by 30, you should have whatever you could build a house by that time. And if you ain't going to medical school or anything, I'd say in my world, 25, 26, where you've gone, you got your master's degree or whatever, and you've worked up and paid off your student loans, and now you worked up and you got yourself a nice little down payment on a house, and you've had 3 to 4 years working experience. You should be by that time 25, 26, maybe 27. Gunter O'Dim, $5. It's hard to deal with midwits that are unconscientious. Plug your books here, laugh out loud. Right. It Try to argue with the 7th grader. Try to argue with a pothead. Try to argue with someone on drugs or an alcoholic. There's no the lack of self-awareness and, hey, if-then statements, they don't understand the then consequences. Well, really? We screwed them over. Meanwhile, word gets out, hey, don't hire that guy ever. And they all wonder why they're poor. Yeah, it's people with an IQ of, we're talking about 85, 90. They're unaware. They really think, here's my genius scheme, okay? We're going to get the money up front, and then we're going to just not really do the job. We're going to half-ass it. Then we'll just leave. Ha, 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 ha. Look at that. Look, we made $1,000. I'm going to go spend 990 of it on beer and shit. These are not criminal masterminds who are going to make off with 25 million in the bag, you know? Gunter O'Dim, $5. It's hard to deal with. Oh, I'm sorry. I got that. Blur Glide. I know this guy. $5. There's an incompetence crisis everywhere. It has skyrocketed since the disease. Scott Adams points this out all the time. Yeah. Well, a lot of it is you got the participation trophy generation that was roughly millennials, maybe a little bit Gen Z. They're not only your rank and file entry level employees, they're also your managers now. And I will also say my generation is also very much responsible for all this because we're the MBA, we're the managerial class. And they come up with the dumbest fucking decisions ever. They are very short-sighted. Live service video games, bro. Cut costs, outsource to India, and make profit in quarter 2. Yeah, what about quarter 3 when everything was sold to the Chinese and hacked and then this and that? Like, yeah, how'd that work, bro? This might be considered the Gen X caused recession, the one we got now, because of such poor mismanagement. Gen X is kind of at the helm. I know boomers are still at the helm, but Gen X is there and just borrowing at 2% and hiring a bunch of affirmative action hires and all this money on diversity and inclusion and just this, was it not boomers who came up with that marketing strategy over a Bud Light or Harley Davidson? That's my generation. Gunter O'Dim, $5. Midwits can have a 120 to 130 IQ. It just requires lack of critical thinking and power. It was called Island 120 IQ. I think someone came up with this idea or the concept that people in academia, even if you have a degree in women's studies, you got a master's or doctorate in it, you're not dumb. You got to have you have to have an IQ of like at least 110 to complete that. But they're so up their own ass. And they've never lived in the real world. They have no anchoring in reality. And so you get people like, she's actually dumb. What's her name? Ocasio-Cortez. They actually think they know what they're doing. But no, these contractors and trades, no, they're not. These are not intelligent people either. They're just not. The bosses who put together good houses and run a good tight ship, those guys got higher IQ. And you don't even have to be a genius, like 105, 110. But yeah, if you're getting in fights while working on a fence post, yeah, you're not above 90. You're in the 80s. All right, there you guys go. Link to all the stuff below. Check out Scott Wilson, Dumbass Contractors. If you guys want to avoid this nightmare, go become a tradesman yourself. And then if you're like, yeah, but I don't like working on retaining walls, consider becoming an accountant with taking the world's greatest accounting career. Available on Teachable and link below. We'll see you guys later. Toodles.